The Bhagavad Gita is a Hindu scripture that is a part of the epic Mahabharata. It consists of 18 chapters and contains teachings on a wide range of topics, including dharma, yoga, and devotion. Here is a summary of each chapter. Chapter 1. The chapter begins with the setting of the stage for the discourse between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna, a warrior prince, is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and is hesitant to fight against his own kin. He seeks the guidance of Lord Krishna, his charioteer and friend, who is also an avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu. Chapter 2. Krishna begins his teachings by explaining the nature of the self and the ultimate reality. He tells Arjuna that the self is eternal and unchanging, and that it is the ultimate reality. He advises Arjuna to fulfill his duty as a warrior and fight in the battle, as this is his dharma. He also teaches Arjuna about the concept of karma, which states that every action has consequences and that one's actions in this life determine their future. Chapter 3. Krishna continues his teachings on the nature of the self and the ultimate reality. He explains that the material world is governed by the three modes of material nature: sattva, goodness; rajas, passion; and tamas, ignorance. He advises Arjuna to transcend these modes through the practice of yoga and devotion. Chapter 4. Krishna teaches Arjuna about the different types of yoga and the importance of focusing the mind. He explains that there are 4 types of yoga: Jnana yoga, the path of knowledge; Bhakti yoga, the path of devotion; Karma yoga, the path of selfless action; and Raja yoga, the path of meditation. He advises Arjuna to choose the path of yoga that is best suited to his nature and to focus his mind on the ultimate reality. Chapter 5. Krishna teaches Arjuna about the nature of the eternal self and the path to realization through devotion. He explains that the eternal self is beyond the physical body and the material world, and that it is the source of all existence. He advises Arjuna to surrender his ego and attachments and to cultivate devotion to the Supreme Being in order to attain liberation. Chapter 6. Krishna continues his teachings on the nature of the self and the ultimate reality. He explains that the mind and actions of living beings are influenced by the 3 gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. He advises Arjuna to cultivate sattva and to surrender his ego and attachments in order to attain liberation. Chapter 7. Krishna reveals his divine nature and the importance of devotion to him. He explains that he is the Supreme Being and the source of all existence, and that he is present in all living beings. He advises Arjuna to cultivate devotion to him and to surrender his ego and attachments in order to attain liberation. Chapter 8. Krishna teaches Arjuna about the importance of self-control and the path to liberation through knowledge and renunciation. He explains that self-control is necessary in order to overcome the influence of the material world and to cultivate knowledge and wisdom. He advises Arjuna to renounce his ego and attachments and to cultivate knowledge of the ultimate reality in order to attain liberation. Chapter 9. Krishna reveals his divine form and the greatness of devotion to him. He shows Arjuna his cosmic form, which contains all the gods and the entire universe. He explains that devotion to him is the greatest path to liberation and that those who cultivate it will attain the highest reward. Chapter 10. Krishna continues his teachings on the nature of the Supreme Being and the importance of devotion to him. He explains that he is the ultimate reality and the source of all existence, and that those who cultivate devotion to him will attain the highest reward. He advises Arjuna to surrender his ego and attachments and to cultivate devotion to him in order to attain liberation. Chapter 11. Krishna reveals his cosmic form and the nature of the ultimate reality. He shows Arjuna his cosmic form, which contains the entire universe and all living beings. He explains that the ultimate reality is beyond the material world and cannot be understood through the senses or the intellect. He advises Arjuna to cultivate devotion to him and to surrender his ego and attachments in order to attain liberation. Chapter 12. Krishna teaches Arjuna about the importance of surrender to him and the benefits of devotion. He explains that those who cultivate devotion to him and surrender their ego and attachments will attain the highest reward. He advises Arjuna to cultivate devotion to him and to surrender his ego and attachments in order to attain liberation. Chapter 13. Krishna explains the nature of the field and the self and the process of reincarnation. He explains that the field is the material body and the self is the eternal consciousness that dwells within it. He explains that the self is reborn in different bodies according to its actions and desires, and that the ultimate goal is to attain liberation from this cycle of birth and death.
Chapter 14. Krishna teaches about the nature of the three paths to liberation and the importance of wisdom. Chapter 15. Krishna explains the importance of devotion to the Supreme Being and the nature of the ultimate reality. Chapter 16. Krishna teaches about the importance of detachment and the nature of the ultimate reality. Chapter 17. Krishna teaches about the importance of devotion and the nature of the ultimate reality. Chapter 18. Krishna summarizes the main teachings of the Gita and explains the path to liberation.